like I said, there are ways of doing that. You want to know what one of my secret weapons for dopamine, right? That's non-medicated is cold showers. Cold showers in the morning.
I think you told me that when you came on my podcast, and I still haven't gotten the guts.
So you don't have to make it that cold, right? So that's the thing. You don't have to have it ice cold, right? I mean, if you can get there, that's even better. But all you do is you take your shower, right? And you don't turn it up so it's piping hot. And then you just turn it down so it's cool. It's a little cooler, a little cooler, a little cooler until you can't go anymore. But you can still stand in it, but you can't turn it down. And you hang out there for 30 seconds, a minute. And then you crank it down as far as you're willing. And that I always crank it all the way down. And I try and hold on as long as I can, which is usually about 5 seconds, maybe, right? And I get out and I get the towel and but the stability for the first 3.5 hours of the day, which is usually your most productive time, is that first 4 hours of the day, is amazing. It's amazing. I can't say it enough. And there are other things you can do. There are foods you can eat which help you. There's a lot of research that shows managing your microbiome helps you enormously. Enormously. Working out even a little helps you enormously. All these things help. So you do all these things, you can really stabilize yourself. What I've noticed, and I'm going through this right now, is once you stop one, you kind of trip and fumble, and you have to get back on the horse again. It's kind of like those dopamine hits again, right? So it's tough to climb back on sometimes.
And another big thing that my family noticed, my daughter, myself, my sister, and my nephew, food coloring and artificial flavors, they make it so much worse. They make the negative emotions and that, like the downs, they're so much worse with food coloring and all the crap that is in our food. And so cutting that stuff out, especially for young kids, like my daughter, she still is pretty well unmedicated. She'll take medication. She has a med that she'll take on test days. And that's normally because of the kids around her. She's about to be, God willing, inducted into the National Honor Society. So she's a brilliant kid. But when she was younger, we had to take her off food coloring because it was awful. And so she's been unmedicated pretty much her whole life. And she's as ADHD as I am because of we took the food coloring and vanilla and artificial vanilla. And it's in stuff like marshmallows have blue food coloring. Why? It makes no sense.
Right. Makes them probably a little bit makes them look whiter, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I
make a big difference.
I believe that. And so the other thing is they're finding all kinds of correlations now between ADHD and all kinds of stuff. But sugar is a really big one because it gives you a dopamine hit and then you crash. And, I remember when I was a kid, because I think I'm much older than you. And I remember when I was a wee child a long, long, long time ago, that when I ate sugar, like I would get super hyper and then I would crash. And my aunt and uncle would say something. My aunt would be like, see, I just read that sugar, that happens. And my uncle goes, so I read a thing says absolutely no such thing as sugar crash. Right. And it's the late 70s, early 80s. And now we know those things exist. Like, I don't trust any study. Who the hell asked for it and paid for that study? Right.
Good point.
That's it. Like, all they do is lie. So, well, this isn't a lie because look, and then you have to look at the parameters of it, right? And they got all normal kids, made sure they didn't have anything, right? They filter out all the people that are reactive. Yeah, studies are just, I don't trust anything that starts with a new study. Forget it. I'm out.
Yeah, I love it when people send that stuff, and I'm like, I'm not even going to open it. So thank you, though. I appreciate your concern, but I'm good. It's funny that you mentioned sugar because I'm actually cutting out sugar starting Monday. I think I'm going to start like today because I haven't had any sugar yet today. But a friend and I decided to cut out sugar starting on Monday. And what sucks is the two of us are throwing a party together that following Friday. And I'm like, well, that sucks because we're not going to eat any of the sweet treats that everybody's bringing. But because of that, because for me, I don't sleep and the sugar makes it 100 times worse. I wake up in the middle of sugar cravings, and if I feed that sugar craving, then I'll sleep for like 20 minutes and then I get back up and I'll literally eat like a giant thing of Nutella in the middle of the night. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's sugar. It's the dopamine.
Yeah. Exactly. And so if you have ADHD because of that dopamine addiction, sugar's already really addictive, but because of our dopamine addiction with the sugar, we have a higher incidence of obesity. And so I've got diabetes and I have ADHD and I used to be 305 pounds.
Wow.
Right.
I'm impressed because you're not anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. You know, it's hard. It's hard. You just don't walk out of that. Like I had to have a life or death health situation to motivate myself. And it's already bad enough that just having diabetes, people are done. That's it. The doctors don't even try anymore. They know it's like, all right, let's try and lose a little bit of weight, but here's medication. We'll see if you do it. Of course, they don't expect you to. They just medicate you out of it. And when you have ADHD, you have procrastination on top of it. And, I know a lot of people who have type 2 diabetes and they're powerless. They're powerless. It took the fear of death to get my life back in order. And so what do you do? I mean, how do you help these people? I think the best thing is you gotta nip it in the bud at the source, right? You gotta educate people about sugar and high fructose corn syrup, but also if you have a child with ADHD, man, don't even start giving them sugar.
And then the food coloring too. I promise you, cutting those two things out will make
Yeah, I agree.
a visible difference. It's funny because a lot of people in my family didn't really, whenever we took food coloring and all that away from our daughter, they're like, oh, it's not going to make that big of a difference. And by golly, when they accidentally gave her food coloring afterwards, they knew right away that I was not full of it. And now it's funny because it worked for us. And so now my sister does it with her son and he sees great results. And so now, everybody on my side of the family is like, oh, well, Christy did this for Jace. And I'm like, and Christy, I love you if you're watching this, but I did it for Taya 12 years ago and everybody made fun of me. But now there's more information, there's more education about it too, which is
Right.
huge and really helpful.
Right. Yeah. I cannot emphasize how much we get beat up. Like, I don't know about you, like when I'm trying to solve all of the issues that come along with my diabetes even and my ADHD, like I'll just hear something new and I'll think about it. I'll research and I'm like, I'll try it. It's going to hurt. Worst case scenario, it's going to cost me $30 to try something for a month, or just try a new habit like cold showers. Some people make fun of me about the cold showers. Cold showers have so many great benefits. I feel like that there's so many naysayers out there, and it's so hard because we have to find something. We get desperate. It's like, oh my God, this is ruining my life. It's driving me crazy. We will try snake oil. I mean, it's like, hey, this is real snake oil. It cures ADHD. I was like, all right, give me a sip. Bring it in, right? And, there's so many people, and it's so hard for us to be self-motivated anyways, that if you start talking about the stuff around the wrong people, they will just kick the legs out from under you. Mm-hmm. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, oh, absolutely, I have.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. And
some of them do. I used to believe that. I used to make excuses for them too, Laurie. Some of them know exactly what they're doing.
But I love them, just like the black squirrel. And I want them to be understanding people. But growing up, and I mean, no disrespect to my mother at all, because she was a 6th grade teacher in the 90s. Anytime a kid misbehaved, they put them on Ritalin, and it was so. At that time, she had it in her head that it wasn't a real thing, and now her daughter wrote a book about it. How funny is that?
Wow.
I was never diagnosed as a child because it had a stigma to a 6th grade teacher and everyone in my family. And now, poor woman, all of her grandkids are like super ADHD, and she's since been diagnosed with. I laugh, sorry Mom, I love you, but I laugh because my whole life that couldn't be it. It was, I was misdiagnosed with everything. I was misdiagnosed as bipolar. I was misdiagnosed as severely depressed, right? And medicated for all these other things. And those medications, you talk about self-development, digging back into that,
to make you worse.
So much worse. And then they medicate you for this because you have this problem that causes this. And then you wind up on 10 medications, none of which are helping. They're all causing extra issues. When really you just needed to understand that your brain works differently. You need to feed it differently. And which I mean that literally and figuratively. You need, intake different things. And meditation, things like that is super, and it's really hard. I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time meditating, but I'm learning.
But I'll tell you what, I'm an amateur writer, and if I meditate, man, I don't know about you. When you think, do you see pictures as like a movie in your head? Because that's how it is for me.
Not a lot, but sometimes.
Everything. Like whenever I think, I see pictures, right? Whenever I'm solving a computer issue and it's code, like I'm seeing code. I see everything. And so I'm an amateur author. And so when I'm writing, I literally see everything that I'm writing about.
I love it.
It's,
I wish that would have made my life a lot easier.
I'm very visual. You talked about medication. Have you taken any stimulants for your ADHD?
I do, yeah, normally. And it's actually kind of funny because there is I don't know if it's funny, but I'm being forced into not having them because they finally made my medication generic. And because I don't do Adderall or Ritalin, I don't mess with any of that because I just too many side effects. But they finally made it generic. So the company just shut down operations. They stopped making it. And so now there's a delay and nobody can get it. Which has been good and bad. The timing was good. And it's really funny because we rebranded my podcast Unscripted. And I started laughing this morning because it's unscripted because I don't have my prescription anymore. But that's how my brain works. But yeah, and I think it depends on the person too. I think some people will respond well and some people, do better without it.
I agree. So they gave me Adderall and I already have a trouble with the very short wire between my brain and my mouth. It was gone. Like my thought process became completely 100% verbal, which was for most people very entertaining and hysterical. But every now and then you get people who are the speech police. You can't say that or that's offensive. And like, I'm not going to say I had Tourette's. And by the way, I saw another doctor talk about that. So ADHD and Tourette's, the parts of the brain that control Tourette's and ADHD overlap a little bit. So if you ever find yourself saying something on accident, that's why. But it's not like you're going to start spouting profanities, right? So anyways.
I told him I thought I had Tourette's and he made fun of me because I had like eye twitches and stuff. And I'm like, I have Tourette's. And he's like,
totally related.
I'm not, he wouldn't even talk about it.
Right. And ADHD is different. Like they were showing these brain scans and how some people have certain parts of the brain that are more active in those areas where they have those problems for other diseases. It's almost like ADHD is a collection of like micro diseases that lay over the brain. It's weird. I just upset someone so bad one day. And I just stopped taking the Adderall. And I called my doctor and I said, I can't take this anymore, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Cause like, that was the only side effect. Like everything else, my focus got better. I was happier. I wasn't seeking dopamine hits so much. And he says like, yeah, that's really rare, but that happens. I'm like, thanks for letting me know. So there are now non-stimulant medications for ADHD. And I guess there's a couple of them. And he gave me one. I think it's called Strattera. And it has other effects, but it also, you have to build up a clinical dosage, which means you have to take it over time for it to affect and then keep taking it. But it's way better. And you know what else it has? It has very low effect on this, but it really takes the edge off, is it helps anxiety. If you have ADHD, you have anxiety. Most of us do have a lot of it, and it's caused by the ADHD, usually like that self-judgment and you don't know what to do and the uncertainty.
We're making us sound awesome, by the way.
You know what the thing is most people don't know. We all do such a good job of just burying it inside, right? Like most people don't even know. They don't even know that we're like that. Right? That only we know, because they're just the muggles. Like they have no idea what the magic is. They have no idea what the consequences are for abusing our powers are.
Yeah, exactly. Like people it's good for them to know that there's a lot of things that are related, and it's crazy. The more I learn about it, the more I'm like, oh, okay. And do you have like an obsession with fidgets?
Don't have a fidget, but I will do stuff. I'll play with my hair. I'll play with my eyebrows.
That's what I've been doing. I'm trying not to, but I will I'll touch my hair. I don't know why, it's weird.
We pick at everything. If you have a blemish, you can't stop, right?
You too?
Yeah, everything. And once I notice, I become obsessed with it.
I once had on my head, I don't know, I had an itch or something, and I like scratched it so much that I literally broke all the hair off in like a chunk like that big. Yeah. And then I have scars on my chest from like scratching when I get anxious. So
Wow.
I kind of, that was just me. I didn't even realize. I mean, obviously it is now. It's like, oh, of course it's related, but I thought that was just me being weird.
No, no, it's definitely related. All that stuff is related and presents differently in everybody, right? So all these descriptors of ADHD, everyone who has ADHD has them in some capacity, or at least 90% of them. But some people have a little bit more and some people have a little bit less, you know? You talk about being funny. Like when I'm like start to be funny, I'm absolutely hysterically ridiculous, like over the top. And I decided a few years ago that like I wasn't going to be self-conscious about what I say or the things that I do. And if people don't like me, then that's on them, right? Screw them. And so now my jokes, I wouldn't say they're offensive, but some of them are inappropriate. Like they've always been that way, but now I don't care anymore. And you know what I've noticed? People love them more.
And I know a lot of your audience is entrepreneurs. It is okay to do that if you're in business. So, and well, not necessarily like tell inappropriate jokes, but to be yourself.
Unless it is.
Yeah. I mean,
all of my clients know me for who I am. Like there's like I don't put on my my professional face to go see my clients. When I'm first meeting people, I do tone down a little bit because they don't know me and I'm usually hyper focused on the sales process, right? And so that's different. But my clients, like they know me for who I am and I have a great working relationship with my clients as a result. Like they just, oh, that's Doug and he's funny.
and they love you for it and probably look forward to calls with you because you are authentic and you are yourself and you're funny and you don't.
A lot of them.
When we try and hide those parts of ourselves, we're not being authentic. Whether we realize, I mean, I did it for years and years and didn't realize it, but I wasn't being authentic. And so people weren't getting the real me. So there in turn, I wasn't attracting the right people. I was attracting unauthentic people. And now I have clients that literally still do business with me simply because I am me and they like me as a person. It has nothing to do with the product or the company or anything like that. That's not me being, I mean, arrogant or anything. It's true. I've had clients that literally said, because we no longer own the agency, but I stayed on as an agent because I had so many clients that said that they were going to cancel their policies. And I'm like, no, I did a good job covering you. Don't be stupid.
Right.
Now, that was 7 years ago. Now you're gonna have to start all over and pay. You have diabetes now. No, don't stop and start back. But I attracted the right people when I started being me. And I know, I mean, I guarantee you that the same thing is happening with you. You're attracting people that you're meant to be around.
So I was just watching this thing on YouTube just yesterday, and this guy was talking about that they can measure the electromagnetic waves that come off of people's bodies based on the emotion that they have, and they can usually tell with a fair certain amount of accuracy what emotion it is, right? Because they're trying to read like people's minds and their emotional state now with computers and AI. And do you know what the most powerful emotion is? This is what he described. I got to find this now and put this on here. So I immediately thought that it's love, because love is when it's genuine, it's very intense. And I'm thinking like the love of a mother and a child, right? And he said the most powerful emotion, he said the frequency was 4,000 times more. It's crazy. It was authenticity. He said everyone knows when you're authentic, everyone likes it. That's why you can usually tell when someone's, oh, they're so fake. Like, even if you don't consciously know, you just, wow, something just feels off about that person. You feel that.
They're putting on a front or whatever. You can tell that, I mean, in one aspect, it blows my mind, but in the other side, it makes total sense.
Yeah, I think they're going to find out pretty quickly in the next few years that we can really feel those electromagnetic fields. And I saw research where they're talking about our certain organs give off electromagnetic fields, obviously our brain. But do you know one of the other organs that gives off a huge electromagnetic field? It's your heart.
Yeah.
And your emotional state controls the size and intensity of that electromagnetic field. So, I mean, to the degree that we can feel that and what that means, I know there's a lot of people out there that read stuff in there and they have hopes and, we'll see. I don't know. But certainly there's a basis for observing these electromagnetic fields and understanding how people are feeling. So we know that now.
Interesting.
It is such fascinating stuff. All right. So tell me about your podcast.
So the subject matter hasn't changed. The title and everything changed because when I first started it, it was meant as a lead magnet. And that lasted for like, well, 0 episodes because I started just kind of like this, just being me and having conversations and bringing on really cool people. So I'm at, I think episode like 68 aired this past Monday. And so the episode that airs this coming Monday on the 2nd is going to be rebranded. So it is now Lori Jewett Unscripted. And the whole premise of it is unleashing your inner superhero or superpower. So it'll be the same cool, because that's, I mean, like when you came on, we talked about your, you know, your superpower being able to just problem solve like rapidly. And so it's the same conversations. It just makes a lot more sense now than before. So yeah, it's Lori Jewett Unscripted. And that like launch or relaunch will be on Monday, October 2nd. I totally forgot where I was going with that.
And you have 67 episodes already?
Those are the ones that have aired. I think I have like 75 recorded.
That is unbelievable. Do you do one a day?
No, I mean, I'm going on 1.5 years.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
You know, one of my mentors who knows me very well, and even before this is before he was one of my mentors, told me that get past 8 episodes. He said, once you get past 8 episodes, you're past the statistic and you're good to go. So I recorded 8 episodes in my first week. I'm like, I'm
going to break the machine.
And I haven't missed a Monday since. So, yeah, it's fun and I enjoy doing it because it's literally, your podcast is very similar. Like this episode of it is similar to mine. Just a fun conversation where we can bring value and educate people on whatever the topic is. But, yeah, I made the mistake of opening my calendar up and posting about it in a huge Facebook group with like 12,500 people or whatever. And so I'm in my next like 2 months are going to be pretty much nonstop recording, which is not a bad thing.
Wow. Are there business owners in there? Cause I'm going to go there.
Yeah. It's Amy Porterfield. I like signed up for her boot camp and it's a paid group and it closes down on the 26th. So everybody is trying to like, she started this podcast swap group. And there's like thousands of comments. And so everybody's trying to get on each other's podcasts before they close the group down.
Why are they closing the group down? It sounds really successful.
It was a giant lead magnet to get you into her $2,000 program.
Well, it sounds like it worked.
Oh my gosh, it was brilliant. Yeah. I think there's already 1,500 people in the like $2,000 program. So, but yeah. And so everybody's trying to like schedule on all these podcasts before the group shuts down. We lose access to each other. So I was like, when I couldn't sleep at 3:00 this morning and I was totally eating Nutella, even though I know I shouldn't have been because it has vanilla and sugar, but I was going through and like messaging all these people in the middle of the night that looked like they would be a fit, but there's a ton of neurodivergent people in this group. It's about building courses and there's a lot. And so there's a subgroup now. If you're interested, I can add you. It's up to you, but
yeah, definitely add me. I'm in.
Yeah, there's only like 48 people in that group or 20 or I have no idea. But it started this morning, I think. So,
yeah, definitely sign me up because I'm looking to meet as many new people as possible. So I've actually had no trouble finding people to do it. Like I have every time I meet someone, I ask them, I put them on the list. And then when when I know that 4 weeks out from needing a new one, I'll record somebody, and we'll do that. And we've been experimenting. We've recently had a lot of success with this. So like, it's tough, like, because we knew nothing about podcasting. We knew nothing about YouTube videos and how to get people to view it and find you. But, we've been doing this for about 6 weeks for real. And we just broke 750 some odd subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I need it on YouTube because I don't air in video, but I need to.
So we're going to hear our plan real quick. Maybe everyone watching this wants to do this. So what I've been doing is initially when I did these interviews, I'd keep them between 30 and 45 minutes. And then I'd end them. And I thought that was premature, but having really long videos is not something that a lot of people want. And it's certainly not something that they want to listen to either if it's in their car. So recently I figured out, I can break up each one of these interviews into, 6 to 10 minute segments, find the juicy parts, right? Get 3-4 juicy parts out of them and get 4 more videos. And when you do a podcast anyways, no one wants to listen to anything over 10 or 15 minutes long because they listen to it while they're traveling usually. Sometimes on a train, sometimes in their car, sometimes in the airport, but 10 minutes is it. And if they like it, they'll just move on to the next one and they'll binge listen. So what we're doing is we're taking all the stuff that we currently have. We're still recording, but we're breaking them up and then we're re-releasing them as just like, you know, specific topics. Like you and I have covered so many different topics here today, and we just got a software. It's an AI that will listen and just break up the topics. So yes. Yeah. I think it's costing us $23 a month for that. I just bought a year. Got a discount.
You'll have to send me the details on that.
Yeah, I'll hook you all up. So the other things that take time to learn, right? And I'm not a YouTube expert yet. And I'm sure this side of next year, if I enjoy any kind of success, I'll get on and give all the details. But we're focusing on thumbnails. We're focusing on shorts and making sure that we have good little sound bites for shorts that people want to hear. We're putting a little bit of music in the background, and what a difference it makes when someone gets on there and says something that's really powerful. You add a little music, it's a force multiplier. It just makes it so you just listen to it, you're like, I can't believe that came out of my podcast. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so we're doing all that stuff, and I'm lucky. Like, so I have a business, I have people who work for me, I have a guy, you know, that does all this stuff for me, and we get together and we talk, and it's like, I don't like that, I like that, let's do this, I researched this, and then he'll say, you know what, I researched this, and this is what we should do, and I'm like, go for it. And because we're so early, we're just trying everything, right? And I think that's what you got to do. And if you find something that works, you stick with it, and then you modify something else. Right. And so that's what we've been doing, and absolutely loving it. Can I tell you, like, we literally got 22% more subscribers in a 48-hour period. We've been out for 6 weeks, and in 48 hours, we got 22% more. It was like, yeah, it was 240 something. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I'm sitting there, we're almost at 500. We're almost at 500, right? We hit 500, and I get on today, and it's like 746. I'm like, where did it come from?
That is fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to be definitely watching and learning from you, from your actions, because that's fantastic.
I think I'm going to start a group. There's people that I know, like, and trust a lot, and you're definitely in there, and so is Jeremy, by the way. So I think I'm going to start a group for all of us. You know, we can't, unfortunately, because there's not a lot of time. We can't have everybody come in, but I think I'll have you in there. So we just share each other's results, because what else I've been listening to and studying is the people who have the most success on social media that are trying to drive traffic to their sites in this way, they collaborate with 4 or 5 other people, and everyone, you know, everyone's doing their own thing. It's not like they assign stuff. Everyone's doing their own things. Hey, I just did this, and this is what happened. And everyone's like, ooh, and they write it down and they do it, and it works, right? And you got to have a good set of people, and it's a great way to do it, especially if you're doing trial and error. It's a great way to do it without breaking the bank, because you could go out there and hire someone at $2,000 a month. They'll help you out, you know. But I'm loving it. I get to talk to a lot of people. A lot of them are funny. Some of them are very serious. Like, I've gotten so many people, and I'll invite people to talk about their businesses, and then we'll get off on a tangent, and you'll get a piece of wisdom from their life that has nothing to do with business, nothing to do with their life, but it is so compelling. And I think I'm really liking the direction that we're going, because, you know, everyone's out there listening to millionaires and billionaires, and yeah, they definitely have powerful messages, but they're very high level messages. Like, look, you want to fail? Quit. You know how to fail immediately? Never try. And all that stuff is very valuable. But what about people that are already on your level or the level above you, and you're just reaching above, and you're just trying to get through that one problem? And here are people that are doing it, surviving it, overcoming it in real time. And it's so much more powerful, right? And they're so much more accessible. So I think we got a real thing, and I'm excited about it, and we're starting to get results. And, you know, listeners are weird, and I am the same. I am the same, because I've been studying social media. I now have a social media addiction, And because I'm studying it, I'm like, I'm on shorts. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And 2 hours pass. Like over the weekend, I lost 2 hours. I'm like, I've got a problem. But I've learned so much. I'm watching shorts and I'm watching real videos and I'm watching how their thumbnails are and how their first 30 seconds are, which is like, I guess the first 30 seconds from what I'm hearing is very important, right? Because that dictates whether they keep listening or not and for how long. And then, we're asking the right questions and we're editing the videos, right? Because we have a lot of pauses. We have a lot of, probably boring information that we've communicated here. So we take it out, compact it, take stuff in the back, put it in the front, and try to hold people's attention as long as possible. And that is very new. Like literally in the last 4 days, we've been doing that. And a lot of that content hasn't even aired yet. And I just want a backlog. So if we get busy, we're not like, oh my God, we forgot. Because the algorithm punishes you for missing a post. Like you got to do it the same hour, the same day of the week, every week, or you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Wasn't I supposed to be interviewing you?
Hey, we've had fun.
It went for a solid hour. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Just to solidify whatever it is because everybody has something. We all have, I've been asking people that on my podcast. What is something that you thought was a negative or deficit that you realized was your superpower? And someone told me this morning, being weird. She said when she was a kid, she felt super weird. And a fourth grade teacher, told her that one day that was going to make her successful. And she took that nugget, that little seed from that teacher. And now she's a multi-time best-selling author and doing all these really cool things. And another lady told me that her thing that she always felt as a negative was oversharing. And now she is a coach and mentor and sharing the things that she's learned. So we all have something. Mine was my ADHD and my like extreme energy. I always tried to hide that. And now I'm like, if you don't like it, there's somebody boring for you to talk to, I'm sure, somewhere. But everybody has something that they feel like they need to hide that literally could make a huge impact on the world. So I just encourage everybody, whether it's in business or your personal development life, find it and own it and roll with it and just see what kind of impact you can make.
Yeah, I feel like we could do a whole other segment on confidence and self-esteem. This has been a pleasure. Obviously, one of my favorite topics, talking about ADHD and the muggles.
Those muggles.
And if you are a muggle, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. You guys do stuff that we just can't understand. There's no doubt about it. Just like we do stuff that you can't understand. And no one else would pay our bills. There's way more of you guys than there are of us. Who would buy our products? Who would pay our bills if you didn't exist? So we're very grateful for you. All right. So Lori, I'm going to include all your information in the bottom of this video, URLs, emails, whatever you'd like, if people want to reach out. Like and comment, please. And if you have any questions for Lori, please feel free to drop the questions here as well. I'm sure she'd like to answer it. As well, if you want me to talk more about ADHD, as I love talking about it, please ask away. We could just dedicate a segment to ADHD and we'll have you back on and maybe we'll get a psychologist or a psychiatrist on to talk about it with us. You know who'd be nice? Dr. John. I interviewed him last week. Absolutely impressive man. He's so smart and he's just so patient and he's just impressive. So if you haven't seen his, by the time you see this, Dr. John's video will be up as well. Make sure you check his out. And with that, thank you, Lori, for bringing the thunder. Goodbye, everybody.
All right. You guys. Bye.